So finally, folks, the Biden-Harris administration is responding to the hurricane accordingly. We already heard Joe Biden saying that we gave enough that we could and we're going to give more to Ukraine and not really give a damn about the hurricane victims. So now, because of the election cycle, and I stated this before, I'm really shocked that they wouldn't care more about this during election cycle. They can easily at least attempt to do something to try to swindle the minds of people who are potentially going to be coming voters in November. I was surprised that they didn't do anything about this. But here's Kamala Harris in Augusta, Georgia, I do believe. Yeah, Augusta, Georgia. Tweeted out by Benny Johnson, who says Kamala just told Americans they'll be receiving $750 to those who truly need it for hurricane relief. Sound familiar? $750 for people that need it. We can send billions to Ukraine, but Americans who have lost everything get only $750. And here's what she stated here.
And the federal relief and assistance that we have been providing has included FEMA providing $750 for folks who need immediate needs being met.
I don't need to reiterate the pictures that we've already seen already of how disastrous this hurricane is. We've already seen it on, this channel. You probably see it on the news, and even turning on your phone, you see all the devastation and the restoration that people are trying to endure and clean up, and you see community activists gathering together, organizations, a bunch of community members are gathering up to the mountains. They're hauling up chainsaws to help homes that are damaged by broken down trees. They're bringing food and clothing to affected areas that have lost everything. And the government's response, the government that you pay your tax dollars towards in defense of these horrific measures like a natural disaster, gives you buckus. $750. That doesn't really go anywhere, especially this day and age with high cost of inflation and the high cost of living. That's not going to get anywhere considering they've lost everything. A lot of people lost everything during this hurricane. And it sounds awfully familiar to what people in Hawaii dealt with when they had a natural disaster. So, as this guy is pointing out, Jeffrey Kronzak says, remember when the island of Maui in Hawaii burnt to the ground? Remember the response from Harris and Biden? They sent those meager $700 checks to residents who lost everything. $700. I remember it took their administration 2 weeks to make an appearance in Hawaii. This administration is a joke. So many chances for them to excel and take care of citizens of this country, but it's as they don't care about us. Every chance they got to show what a good leader is, they fail. It's incompetency at the highest level. And there's, again, the devastating images of Hawaii. And there's people in Hawaii that still have not got that check. They still have not given them, because as it states here, as Benny Johnson states in the tweet here, it's those who need it, in quotations, truly need it. So even if you've lost everything and are completely ruined and devastated, it's still government agencies that are in control of saying, well, do you actually need it? I don't see it on this list, so you're not going to get compensation. You're not going to get help because clearly you don't need it under their provisions. And that is when we got into suspicious scandals of why they're refusing to help out these people in these damaged communities. Why specifically these communities are getting the burden of not getting support from the government. And we know that in Maui, for example, there's a lot of billionaire estates. There's Oprah Winfrey. There's actors like Ed O'Neill that are in Hawaii. There's a huge amount of real estate opportunity. And suspiciously, right around the time that they were trying to restore what little they had in Maui was when BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street coordinated together and took the opportunity to say, hey, we're about to enter into Maui, we're going to enter into Hawaii, and we're going to take care of this for ourselves. And just like they did in Maui, it seems almost like history repeating itself in places like North Carolina, especially near Asheville. Now, from what I know, Asheville is supposed to be like a tourist town in the Carolinas. It's very, elegant from what I've seen pictures of beforehand. Now that it's in devastation, now it's in ruins. It seems like, and no doubtably, that it's another capitalist opportunity for them to swarm in and take advantage of the deprived. And the same goes with our foreign affairs. There's a reason why we blow up different countries, not because we care about democracy or human rights, but because there's a business interest for it. They want to take down Palestine so they could put beach resorts in Gaza. They want to take Iraq over because of the oil reserves. They want to enter into Afghanistan because of the opium and because of the lithium and the mineral wealth that's there. They want to go into Venezuela. Why? Because Venezuela has the largest oil reserves, far greater than Saudi Arabia. It's not because we give a damn about people. It's because there's a business motive to it. And this lady is about to explain another measure that they're looking into and why all of a sudden there's now this corporatized response to this problem. Why Vanguard, State Street, and BlackRock are suddenly interested in helping people in damaged communities like this. Listen.
What I find suspicious as shit, that one of the areas affected by Hurricane Helene is the world's largest lithium deposit, and the DoD just entered into an agreement with this company right here to mine lithium for electric cars starting in 2025. Now that area is completely devastated. This was a $90 million agreement between the DoD and this company right here to get Kings Mountain, North Carolina lithium mine up and running by 2030. If that area has been inundated, is in a disaster zone, then the government can come in and do eminent domain, and they can pay you what it was worth 5 years ago rather than what it's worth right now. Imagine that your home has turned into a watery lot and the government comes to you and says, hey, I'll pay you what you paid for it. You're going to take it and you're going to go, right? What do you think is going to happen right here now that they want this lithium mine up and running by 2025, 2030 at the latest? Back in 1947, we had the Florida-Georgia hurricane, or Hurricane 9, and it was the first hurricane to be targeted for weather modification. What happened was General Electric's, the U.S. Navy, the Army, the Air Force, they poured dry ice into this hurricane using airplanes to see what would happen. Would they slow it down? Well, what happened was it slowed down a little bit, but it turned west really sharp. Let me show you. This is the path that the hurricane took in 1947. Does it look similar to you? Probably not. It's a coincidence, right? Moving on. I'm sure this is just another coincidence, but do you know who owns the most shares in that lithium mine? BlackRock and Vanguard.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There's always some sort of business interest or motive, especially when you hear names like BlackRock being concerned about victims of a natural disaster. Because these are the same ghouls and individuals that preemptive war, that want to massacre communities and want to take control and seize the opportunity to take control of resources. Tell me that seems at all kind of familiar to what people of hurricanes are dealing with right now. That a natural disaster happens, it swipes out a community, the government swoops in and says, here's $750 compensation, maybe you should move out of here, go to a safer region, and we'll take care of the rest. Just like they did with Maui, just like they did with other natural disasters. She listed the Hurricane 9, where General Electric who is a big partner, a big military contractor, said that they had weather modification to infiltrate the motion of the hurricane. So it's very, very telling. It's very telling that there's some sort of interest to it. And considering the fact that lithium is mentioned in this conversation, obviously lithium is a huge component this day and age with electric vehicles, any sort of technology you have right now, whether it be phones, computers, your smart TVs, your speakers, anything that's chargeable has lithium metals in it. And that's, again, one of the reasons we cared so much about foreign policy was mineral wealth, especially this day and age with all these technology that we are exposed to. And now, since they found out that Asheville, North Carolina, and the surrounding region has mineral wealth, they have to do something about the people that are on top of it. Just like how Palestine, all of a sudden, now they're starting to talk about, well, they have oil reserves. Did you know that? They had natural gas. But there's people living on top of it. Gee, I wonder if there's something we can do to get those people out of there so we could start hacking into their natural resources. And that's also the same with celebrities. When Oprah went to campaign and do fundraisers for the victims of Maui, they forgot to mention that Oprah at the time was looking to expand her already huge estate into other people's territory. And the best way to do that is to wipe them out, clean slate. Hey, it's not my fault a fire burnt your house. Here's some money to go somewhere else, and then I'll expand my property that did not get damaged. Not at all suspicious whatsoever. Not at all suspicious whatsoever. And here's that agreement here. This is directly from the Department of Defense, right here. Department of Defense enters agreement to expand domestic lithium mining for U.S. battery supply chains. This is from September 12th of 2023. So, the fall of last year, they decided to do this. And usually what happens is when they open this ground up, they start doing surveys. They start surveying the lands to see where exactly they could potentially set up shop, start mining, start drilling, doing whatever they can to extract the resources. And since word is out that apparently North Carolina has a bunch of this lithium, wouldn't it be interesting if around that time a disaster came afoot and then all of a sudden a venture global capitalist hedge fund billionaire comes in to pretend to save you? So, not at all suspicious, right? Not at all suspicious. And again, I'm not putting my whole foot down on this, but I'm saying that there's definitely there has to be some sort of business motive to the fact that BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street are interested in the hurricane victims. Because again, why would they be interested unless there's some sort of business motive to it? Unless there's some sort of capitalist ploy to it. And now you're seeing it. Now you're seeing it. But it's okay that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, who expect you to vote for them because they want you to vote for joy, they want you to vote for joy, well, you scoff down $750 that could barely pay for anything that you've lost, and continue to send billions more off to Ukraine and Israel to continue that bloodshed. Because again, it's all about the business opportunity of depravity and despair of humanity.